Alright, if you wake up tomorrow and XRP has flipped to $589 overnight. Now, try to imagine this scenario. You roll over in bed, grab your phone, and open up your crypto tracker. Your eyes blur for a second because the screen is glowing green. You blink, rub your eyes, and look closer. XRP is not at $1. It is not at $2. It is sitting at exactly $589 per token. Right in that exact second, what is the very first emotion that hits your chest? Is it pure, unadulterated joy because your life just changed forever? Or is it a sickening, heavy wave of regret because you realize you didn't buy enough when you had the chance? This isn't just a random thought experiment. This exact riddle was recently posted on X by prominent analyst Pumpius, and the answers he received reveal a massive hidden truth about the psychology of digital asset holders right now. So in this video, we are dissecting this ultimate conviction test. As a market observer, I've watched assets do the impossible before, but the real question isn't what the asset can do. It's what you are prepared for. So let's get into the reality of what's happening. So let's start with our very first question about why did a single post on X completely divide the XRP community? This thought-provoking question from analyst Pumpius right here didn't drop during a massive market rally. It hit right in the middle of one of the roughest, most exhausting market stretches we have seen in quite some time. When prices are sliding, a question like, how would you feel if we hit $589 tomorrow, forces people to take a hard, painful look at their actual exposure and their true level of conviction. Now, here's my opinion. When you look at the flood of replies to Pumpius' posts, you see a community experiencing a profound psychological split. The response to a hypothetical numbers spike tells you everything about a person's current stress level. Half of the people are completely exhausted by the macro environment and would happily walk away with a minor victory, while the other half are digging their heels in, looking at this as a generational wealth transfer. It proves that extreme market pressure acts like a sorting mechanism. It separates passive spectators from deep conviction accumulators. Now, what is the harsh reality behind June's sudden market decline? To understand why people responded the way they did, we have to look at the ground reality of the market. The mid-June 2026 stretch has been brutal. XRP started June trading comfortably above $1.30, but it spent the rest of the month in a persistent downslide. By late June, the token aggressively broke below $1.05, a price floor we haven't seen since late 2024. To put things into perspective, this asset is currently sitting roughly 71% below its July 2025 peak of $3.65. And if you think this is an isolated problem, look at the big boys. Bitcoin recently took a heavy hit, collapsing below $59,000, while Ethereum has been desperately hovering near the $1,500. Now, here's my opinion. Seeing an asset lose 71% of its value from a previous high is exactly where retail investors capitulate and throw in the towel. It feels like a slow, painful grind to zero. But as a market observer, you have to look past the immediate price tag. This isn't an XRP specific fundamental collapse. This is a highly coordinated macro level liquidity drain affecting the entire digital asset landscape. When Bitcoin and Ethereum bleed heavily, everything bleeds. The question isn't why it's down. The question is who is taking advantage of the discount. Now, why are the whales secretly devouring 74% of the supply? While everyday retail participants are panicking on message boards, something completely different is happening on chain. While small wallets are panic selling their tokens directly into the deep institutional sized wallets, and mega whales have been quietly and aggressively absorbing every single token. According to the latest blockchain data, these whale addresses now command over 74% of XRP's entire circulating supply. They are treating this $1.05 level not as a warning sign of a sinking ship, but an elite accumulation zone. Now, here's my opinion. This 74% supply dominance by whales is the single most important metric on the board right now. Think about it logically. If this asset was truly dead, why would the smartest, deepest pockets in the world be locking up nearly 3/4 of the entire available supply? The elite don't buy assets to hold bags. They buy them because they understand the structural plumbing of the incoming financial framework. Retail investors are looking at a one-day chart and feeling fear. The whales are looking at a 10-year utility roadmap and feeling greedy. Now, is the $589 a pure fantasy, or is $238 the real target? The feedback on a Pumpius viral thread brought out the mathematical skeptics and the realist. One very vocal commentator ran the numbers against global liquidity models and argued that expecting $589 inside of this current decade is completely unrealistic. Instead, they pointed to a much more structured, conservative target of $238 by the year 2030, citing real-world utility development timescales. On the flip side, other holders kept it simple, stating that a move to $589 would instantly turn them into gazillionaires. Alright? A gazillionaire. And that even a move to $100 would keep them consistent for the rest of their lives. Now here's my opinion. I love seeing these debates because they highlight the clash between the immediate retail expectations and long-term institutional math. Whether the number is $100, $238, or the legendary $589, the core principle remains identical. People are trying to value a cross-border, real-world asset bridge currency using the same metrics they use for speculative meme tokens. You cannot calculate the price of a global liquidity engine based on retail trading volume alone. When the financial system begins passing trillions of dollars in value over a ledger, the asset's price must adjust to handle that immense volume without clogging. Now, why does the fear of missing out hurt worse than the fear of loss? One of the most profound pieces of feedback on the post came from a holder who admitted that even if the price hit $589 tomorrow, they would still feel a nagging sense of regret. So why? Because they realize they could never hold enough to satisfy what's coming. They openly compare the potential regret of mismanaging their XRP position to the historic pain felt by early investors who walk away from Bitcoin way too early, long before it achieved its true macro status. Now, here's my opinion. This is a massive psychological trap. The fear of missing out on the ultimate peak can completely paralyze you from making smart, rational decisions today. If you are sitting around waiting for a single token to solve every financial problem you have ever had with zero strategy, you are treating this market like a lottery ticket. The goal shouldn't be chasing an infinite number of tokens. The goal should be building a solid, unshakable position based on what you can afford, so that when the utility shift occurs, you can secure your future without carrying the emotional baggage of regret. Now, what happens if the timeline stretches out for another 5 years? Of course, not every response was wrapped in optimism. A very grounded, frustrated voice hijacked the thread to ask a brutal question. What happens if 5 years pass and absolutely nothing changes? They pointed out that grinding reality of everyday life this 2026, skyrocketing housing costs, stagnant corporate wages, and rising inflation, for people living in the real world, locking up hard-earned capital in a stagnant asset while their daily cost of living surges is becoming a luxury they can no longer afford. Now, here's my opinion. This is the ultimate reality check for the entire community. It is very easy to tweet about diamond hunts and holding forever when your bills are paid. But when real-world economic pressures start squeezing your household budget, the opportunity cost of holding a digital asset becomes incredibly heavy. This is exactly why you never invest capital that you need for your immediate survival. If your timeline relies on a crypto explosion happening tomorrow, just so you can pay your bills next month, you have to put yourself in an incredibly dangerous position. True conviction requires patience, and patience requires financial stability outside of the crypto charts. And finally, here's our overall conclusion. When we weigh all the data, the viral riddle posted by Pumpius serves as the ultimate mirror for where you stand as an investor. $589 has been a symbolic, legendary milestone within this community for years, but the wild variance in the replies proves that our conviction is tested hardest not when the green candles are flying, but when the market is bleeding out. When the token sitting down 71% from its previous high, matching a broader market down leg that has pulled Bitcoin below $59,000, it is easy to lose sight of the big picture. But you cannot ignore the on-chain reality. The smartest money in the room, which are the whales, now command 74% of the supply. They are preparing for a system built on absolute utility, clearing out the weak hands before the macro landscape shifts. Whether your personal target is a conservative $100, a calculated $238 by 2030, or the ultimate $589 paradigm shift, the lesson is clear. Your strategy, your position size, and your emotional discipline right now, during the worst weeks of the year, will dictate whether you experience ultimate freedom or absolute regret when the market finally wakes up. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one, or you might just as well check this next recommended video right here.